Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And joining us right now is a man who is a 23-year veteran of the United States Navy, former commander of Navy SEAL Team 6. He also happens to be a former Montana State Senator from Whitefish, Montana. And he's looking to become the lone congressman from the state of Montana. Joining us now is Ryan Zinke. Hey, Ryan, how are you, sir?
Great to be here.
Well, it is my honor to talk to someone with your resume, sir, and your resume of service to this country. Thank you very much for that. You wrote an interesting piece the other day, the Great Falls Tribune, and you said that your vision is that America needs to return to its roots. And what you mean by that, I guess, is that you've been in other countries. You've been around the world. You've seen a lack of confidence in governments lead to the end of those governments and the destruction of those countries, correct?
That's correct. And I think, an issue is trust. As I go around, our country, and I ask the question, how many people out there trust the United States government? And, I get very few, if any, hands. And as a 23-year veteran, and I was a commander at SEAL Team 6, I understand and I've seen the consequences of when people don't trust their government. And we are right there. And I think in order to restore faith is that we have to relook and center on the Constitution, which is important. It's about fundamental freedoms, both individual and economic.
And, you talk about in your piece, and by the way, you announced today, and we appreciate you coming on and making us one of your first interviews. You announced today, and one of the things that you wrote about in that piece was, you talk about, for instance, Hillary Clinton at that famous hearing on Benghazi where she wore green and shrugged her shoulders and said, what difference does it make, why he was our ambassador to Benghazi was killed, Christopher Stevens. And that's an outrage when a Secretary of State sits there and says something like that.
Well, truth does matter. In the case of Benghazi, you had three things. You had one, ineptness of letting it happen. Two, inaction while the action occurred, not giving cross-border authority. 7.5 hours, two former SEALs were duking it out, and we didn't provide any assistance. And then finally the cover-up at the end of it, which was a lie. It had nothing to do with the video. It was known. And, of course, the Susan Rice, who promulgated it, she gets promoted. I think it's outrageous. It's outrageous on the IRS, hunting down and harassing, citizens. You have NSA spying on people. I mean, no wonder people don't trust the government. And I want to trust the government. And when the president, during his State of the Union address, I want to believe in what he says is truthful. And I think we have to make sure that we hold people accountable and get at the truth.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. What about the government shutdown? And of course, if you listen to the media, it's all the Republicans' fault. They did it. It's all the Tea Party's fault. Where do you fall when it comes to if you were in Congress today? Would you align with the leadership more so, or would you align with the Tea Party group more so? Where would you be?
Well, I think there's two issues about the government shutdown. Well, actually three. First, the government shutdown was about budget. And to me, we should have forced the president to say, give me a budget for 5 years, and how are we going to correct this? It's the president's job to provide a budget. The Congress approves it. Mr. President, show me a budget how we're going to get back to fiscal reality and responsibility in 5 years. I think the second part about it is when the government did shut down, I think it was a rude awakening to America that we have 47 million people on food stamps. And so the amount of government dependency, and it's about jobs. We need better jobs out there, and we need a growing economy. And, I've lived in the great state of Montana. We can be energy independent in 5 years. I mean, imagine the global consequences of America being energy independent and have the ability to export. And yet there's a war on fossil fuels. I think it's insane. And I think both sides are fed up with politics. We need less politics, more leadership, and to address the challenges that face our country in a truthful way. And why I'm an optimist? The power and the greatness of America has never been in the government. It's always been in our people. And I have greater faith in Americans than I do in our American government.
Ryan, but what about Obamacare? And again, the Republican original effort was to delay Obamacare or defund it, then a year, and then the medical device tax with subsidies for congressional staffers, and basically they got none of that. Going forward, how do you think, we've seen the fiasco that the rollout is computer-wise and signing up, et cetera. We've seen the effect on the economy with businesses creating a new normal where they're cutting back hours to under 40 down to 30 so they wouldn't fit under Obamacare. What would the strategy be, short of taking back the House, taking back the Senate and the White House? What strategy would you recommend if you arrived in Washington today, for instance, and became a member of Congress?
Well, I have to respect Senator Cruz. I mean, he did exactly what he said, and he, I think understands that Obamacare is terrible. I think the play is, what are we going to do about it? I mean, we all know the medical industry and the care. We can make great improvements. I think we need a message of how to make it better. Necessarily not snapping the ball isn't a play, but it is affecting our economy adversely. There's no cost controls. It seems like the only people that are going to win out of this thing are probably hospitals and pharmaceuticals. And you go down to your local hospital and you look where the growth is. It's all in the administration and the billing, but they're not adding any more doctors. They're not adding any frontline, people to provide better care. There's a lot of seniors out there that are going to be really upset when the copays go up because the Medicare isn't going to cover it because there's been changes.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to Ryan Zinke. He's a 23-year military veteran, United States Navy, former commander of Navy SEAL Team 6. He's looking to become a congressman from the state of Montana, also former state senator from Whitefish, Montana. Let me ask you about something that there's a story today about this horrific, shortly after the SEAL Team 6 got bin Laden. Back on August 6, 2011, we lost 30 Americans in a crash of a helicopter, I think a Chinook helicopter, out of Afghanistan that the SEALs were put on. And there's a book out, Extortion 17, and there's a investigative file made available to the Washington Times that shows that the helicopter's landing zone was not properly vetted for the threats nor protected by gunships. Commanders criticized the mission as too rushed and the conventional Chinook chopper as ill-suited for dangerous troop infiltration. Here's what I never understood from the day this happened. We know how the president hemmed and hawed and went back and forth and turned down getting up bin Laden and then had to sleep on it when he finally decided to do it. And, we wanted to make sure we didn't lose any SEALs. So many things could have gone wrong. Oh, my God. And yet they throw 30 or so of our finest men, the same SEAL team, in many instances, on to this mission, which wasn't even a mission that you needed SEALs for. I don't understand the whole thing.
Well, I think it's a reminder how dangerous war is, my understanding of it was that as they cross-stacked over to an available helicopter, it probably wasn't their choice of helicopters, but they were run to the sound of guns, and I applaud that. I think what the guys face in Afghanistan is a very tough rules of engagement, and to me, either we fight or we go home. I think you're morally bound to make sure that our troops in harm's way have everything they need to win.
Absolutely.
But when you're bunkered down, you're not allowed to fight at night. You're not allowed to, go in these different areas. You're not allowed to engage, and the rules of engagement become so tight that you effectively are on defense. You can't win in war playing defense. You got to take the momentum of the enemy and hit them hard. And to me, my daughter's a Navy diver. My son-in-law is a Navy SEAL. I don't want to see our kids go forward and fight a war without having everything they need to win. And I can tell you, from my perspective, is the last two wars were fought about oil. And if the United States would not have an insatiable appetite for foreign oil, and we could concentrate on energy independence, which I believe we can gain in 5 years, the geopolitical landscape changes.
But Ryan, we haven't gotten a drop of oil from Iraq, have we?
Well, but it's global. We still import.
Yeah, of course we import, but why would we go to war in Iraq over oil if we didn't get any oil from them?
Well, I think the last two wars were about oil. It's about our seemingly insatiable appetite for foreign sources, and this war on fossil fuels domestically, I think, is nothing short of insane. Everyone wants clean air, clean water. We get it, but also is that energy independence has got to be the top of the priority list.
Absolutely. We have the Keystone Pipeline that's being delayed by this administration. They're never going to approve it. We have all kinds of ways, fracking and other ways, and natural gas under there, enough to make us self-sufficient. But now he's got a war on coal going, and it's until we change presidents, if it's not too late by that time, then it's never going to happen. But Ryan, I wish you all the best, and thanks for taking the time, sir.
Well, thank you, and follow me on ryanzinke.com. And, I appreciate the support out there. And I have to tell you, I think it's changeable, and I think we can turn the ship around in Washington, D.C.
Well, I hope you are right. Thank you, Ryan. ryanzinke.com. It's RYANZINKE.com. All right, folks. We're going to come back. Like I said, still ahead on today's show. We're going to have Ann Coulter. We're going to have Tom DeLay. We're going to talk to Sally Cohn from Fox News and the Daily Beast. So we got a lot coming up. I just don't buy this war for oil. I mean, if you're going to say that the war is for oil, and I say, well, we went to war and we didn't get any oil. Where's the oil? And you say, yeah, well, we have a foreign dependency. Yeah, but not in Iraq. Why'd we go to war in Iraq for oil? Don't tell me we're in Afghanistan for oil. I mean, if you're going to make that accusation, then back it up. But, shouldn't we have insisted at least that Iraq pay for our monetary costs for the war after the fact in oil? Never happened. So, this war for oil, I just don't understand that claim, which is usually made by those on the left. Anyway, 877 Newsmax, if you want to weigh in, 877 Newsmax right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV. And